We are live. Hello, everyone. I am Tawdra Candle. I'm the Assistant Conference Director for the 37th Annual Novelists, Inc. Conference, which will take place in St. Pete Beach, Florida from September 23rd through 26th, 2026. And joining me today on this interview is our social media volunteer, Heather Picker. She waves.
Hi.
You know her. Yeah, there you go. Every year, several hundred NINC members and industry professionals attend our conference for top-tier educational workshops and high-level networking, all in a relaxed beach atmosphere. We would love to have you join us. Please go to ninc.com for more information. That is NINC.com. And this year, we are introducing something new. We decided to offer a single track of high-level master classes on the first full day of the conference. That is Thursday, the 24th. And they will cover the 3 pillars of excellence, which is our theme this year: excellence, craft, marketing, and mindset. And today we are pleased to be interviewing the lovely Becca Syme, who will teach our masterclass on mindset. Her presentation is titled The Inflection Point: Navigating Change in High-Level Author Businesses. Becca, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's good to see everyone. Hi.
Yeah. It is. Yay. Tell us a little about your workshop and what inspired you to teach this topic, which is not just a topic. This has been something, I mean, you have been on this journey and leading us for a long time.
Yeah, this in particular, I feel like there are people who sort of come back to NINC every year and are like, I want to level up. Like, that's the most common thing I feel like we hear from high-level authors, is that they always are looking to level up. And so when I do coaching, especially one-on-one coaching with high-level authors, it's like, okay, I can answer the questions if you're asking me individually, like, what is the particular pathway for you as an individual person? But also having done high volume coaching, I can also see what the consistent inflection points are for individual people that form a pattern, right? And what tends to happen is that depending on where you are in your business, how much you're selling currently, how much the gains have been recently, there are particular things that stand in the way of having that inflection of a much higher level of income. And a lot of it is how you think about where you are in your business, how you think it should happen, what the templates are that you're using to judge what excellence is supposed to look like. In particular, a huge part of this is almost no one actually understands what success is supposed to look like at the next level because you haven't had it yet. So you don't have the benefit of looking backwards like you do on what success you've had in the past. So a lot of what we end up doing is saying, well, when I went from not making a profit to making a profit, this was what made the difference there. And so now I'm trying to apply that mindset and that logic to this particular place that I'm at. And I may be 2 or 3 inflection points in at that point, and it is not going to look the same because there are some really consistent patterns with both how you need to approach it from a thought perspective and also in nobody likes when I say the P word because they just don't, generally speaking, successful people don't like hearing about patience. They do not enjoy that. Shocker. We're all shocked at that. But there are some elements where having patience is not helpful, right? You want to have more urgency when you're in certain places. And then there are places where if you do not practice patience, you are going to wreck the success that you have. And in particular, by trying to do things that you are not ready for yet. Like, not everyone who is selling should be doing direct sales. Not everyone who is selling should be running Kickstarters, even though we're all like, what are all the successful people doing? Let me go do that. And I'm like, actually, if you look at when you use Kickstarters to level yourself up, when you use direct sales to level yourself up, there's a really consistent pattern that you follow. That if you don't know what that pattern is and you're just scattershot applying advice from people and not really knowing the difference between what works and what doesn't, it's going to cause you to do things that could potentially ruin your trajectory. And so I think a lot of where my interest comes in is like, let me just give you the benefit of sitting through 6,000 different people's coaching of their careers and knowing what the difference is between what those inflection points look like for highly successful people and what they look like when you're still in research and development. Because we also have, sorry, I keep talking, but I'm not giving you the workshop. But we also have a fair number of NINC members who at one time were making a lot of money and now are back in R&D again. They're in research and development again. And what you did in R&D during the gold rush is not going to get you anywhere in R&D in this new phase of publishing. It's not the same game anymore. So there's a big portion of this of like, you got to know the game you're playing and you got to know what gets you to the next level. And then how do you align with the expectations of where you're actually at?
That's really, really, especially as you said, for NINC members, I think that that's something that's going to hit them. And especially because NINC is a place where we often come and get all the ideas and have a list of all the things we're going to do. So having this at the very beginning should help us to say, is this really the idea for me? So, okay. Sorry, Heather, I didn't mean to step
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's phenomenal. And the next question that I have here to ask you actually is, what's one practical tip or insight that attendees can walk away from, which I feel like after that is just asking you to give away more of the workshop, but if you don't mind.
No, I'm happy to give it away because I actually feel like there's an element of like understanding what the trajectory is. And then there's like, most of us have brains that need to think and process. So I also wanted to say, like, let me give you a little bit of what we're going to talk about so that when we get there, you can hear it on the second and third and fourth level rather than like being introduced to it brand new from the beginning. So a super practical takeaway is, are you at all conscious of your own desire to level up money-wise only, in the sense that you are using someone else's high levels of income as proof that you should do what they're doing? So here's a for instance. You go to 10 workshops while you're at NINC. They're all good. Let's just say every single thing you heard was like cool, practical, applicable for you right now, and you could go execute on all of them. Are you personally conscious of how much your tendency is to say, well, person A made $10,000, person B made $40,000, and person C made $100,000? My tendency is to go with the $100,000 person, versus are you looking at how you align with where they are in their business? If you're back in R&D again and you're trying to apply tactics that only work for people who are in post-infrastructure phases where they have multiple assistants that their business is paying for, not just like, I have an assistant I pay 10 hours a month for, but like I have an assistant I pay 30 hours a week for, and I have multiples of those people. And then I'm going to have to offload a bunch of this infrastructure building onto a bunch of other people so I can still write, because that's the goal of the writer in the business, is to keep up the writing. Are you able to create a rubric for yourself about your own fear of not making money that is going to supersede when you listen to people talk and they say increasingly cool amounts of money? But can you still take the objectivity back and say, hang on a second, wait a minute. My actual platform is more similar to this person, even though they only made 10 grand, but I'm making none right now. So yeah, 100 grand would be great. It would help me not lose my house. It would help me, right? Like the identification of where you might be making decisions against your best interest because your outside needs are so urgent, and your desire to be back where you were is so urgent, or the fear of falling income is so urgent, that you're looking for something that is just whatever the highest number is they're going to promise me I can make, I'm going to do that thing. And I'm like, oh, but that might actually, you should maybe just leave that money on the table. There is no phrase that bothers me more in the business running of authordom than, oh, you can't leave money on the table. I'm like, leave that effing money on the table. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear or not.
I don't know either.
That
And
money,
I'm sure you can. I believe in you. I believe in you.
I am capable of saying the F-bomb, but
You already said patience, so I think we're
but
good.
should I? But there's money you should absolutely leave on the table at all times, because the pursuit of that money could potentially wreck your inflection. And inflection is an extreme change, right? So when you're making, let's say, like $1,000 a month and you start making 10,000, like those inflection points are what makes it possible for you to level up to the next layer of business infrastructure. And when you are not making enough money, there are a lot of tactics that, in order to do well, you should not be executing them. They are not worth your time. You need to spend the time retesting demand again, which is a research and development phase thing. And one of my just pet peeves about how we talk about this is, oh, we're all high level authors. And I'm like, well, yes, but our business capacities vary wildly. And not all tactics are good for all businesses. In fact, some tactics will swamp and kill businesses that are not ready to execute them. And I don't know that everybody has enough listening capacity to disconnect the money fears that are coming up, that are going to make them want to make decisions because they feel like, oh, but I could make 100 grand. And I'm like, no, that person could make 100 grand. You could lose 14, and then, or you could make 10 with almost no change to your business. Like, let's disconnect the fear people and regulate a little bit better, and then go after the step that's next for you rather than the one that's 4 steps down the road just because you used to be, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I love this. And I do think, as I said, you are presenting at our masterclass, which is open to all authors, not just NINC members. So I really do think, though, for those who will be staying on for the entirety of the conference, it's really a good point for us to look at. The steps that we're taking, are they the steps we should be taking, or is there another staircase over here that actually would be better for us? So, and as I said on Masterclass Day, your audience could include brand new writers as well as seasoned veterans. So if you had to, and I know we want, I mean, it's an all, nothing is against you. You have the audience on Masterclass Day, but who specifically, if there's somebody watching this and they're not sure whether they're going to come to the Masterclass Day, who should definitely be at your workshop? What kind of writer?
People who are serious about having a sustainable author business for their whole lifetime, like people who want an author business for life. Because I do think that there's a big difference between, I will take whatever money is on the table and I just want to do this and get out and make my bag and get out. Or if this is not for me, like I don't want to do any of the hard stuff ever. I only want to do easy stuff. I'm not the person for you, because I think easy stuff, it doesn't exist anymore. Like, we're not in the gold rush anymore. And for me, I feel like people who want to do the work and who want to have an author career for their whole life, this is, I build my workshop specifically, and I told Tadra this before, but for Heather's sake and anyone who's watching, I write my workshops brand new when I do workshops for NINC. Like, I really take seriously the fact that this is a group that expects a higher level of content. And I'm assuming the masterclass people will be similar. You've seen me present on the business phases before. I have stuff on my own YouTube channel about the business phases. You can watch a primer on the business phases anywhere. But this is different content. This is specific to people who are after the pursuit of a long-term career and want to use that shorthand of understanding where I'm at to make better choices about sustainability and success. Because I don't just want you to have sustainability without success. I want you to have both of those things. But it's just too common that not knowing what we don't know in the sustainability arena. makes us not as wise about the decisions that we could make about our business, because all we see is like, oh, that person made $100,000. Well, I better do that. Like that's got to be the next thing that I do. And I just want to say, don't do that.
Don't be blinded by, don't be entranced by the bright, shiny.
Yeah.
You know, there are other considerations. So you have been a very popular speaker at NINC in earlier conferences, and we've been so honored to have you in the past, and we are so excited that you're here again this year. What are you most looking forward to about being back in St. Pete Beach this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a NINC member, right?
Yes,
so like
yes.
there's a part of it that's like, I want to see all my friends and I want to hang out with my peers. And so there's a part of that NINC will always sort of be a peer conference for me on some. I mean, I know I have an expertise that's like helpful, but I really just enjoy the vibe. Like I like being there. I like seeing kind of all the familiar, like all the familiar faces. And there's always new faces, but personally, like on I guess more of a professional level, I really think that there is a level of frustration with our careers right now that is making people focus on the wrong stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's primarily because we're still trying to play the gold rush game. Yeah. And we have this dedication to like, it has to look the way that it's always looked and ever since I can. And we have this blind spot about, because it's not looking hopeful from a gold rush perspective, we're trying to solve supply problems when we worry about KU saturation. We're trying to solve supply problems when we worry about how other people are selling and the competition. And I want us to solve demand problems instead. Mm-hmm. Like, I just want us to shift our mindset into, this is what it looks like when you ignore the fact that you're in a competitive market and you try to run the best business you can, writing the best product you can. And I'm actually really excited about the opportunity to kind of infuse a little bit of hope into the general tenor of the author community right now that doesn't include the reliance on an unsustainable practice for me, right? Like, I'm not a fan of some of the just completely mercenary, right, like tactics that I think make authors burn out and are not, and make them not be successful for a long career. I think there's a way forward for us all to have long-term careers, but we've got to focus more on solving demand problems, which is where I hope to kind of help people give more focus and a little bit more like hope for the future, I guess, right?
Yay.
That's beautiful. That's really fantastic. I personally am now very excited to hear you speak after all of this.
We won.
Yeah. If nobody else is there, I'll be there. But everybody else will be there for sure.
You and Tadra.
That's without a doubt. Yes, we will be there.
Well, Becca, you also mentioned that there are lots of things that you talk about, like the primers and things that can be found that can be easily accessed elsewhere. So I was kind of wondering where we can find those things and where else people can find you to learn more about you before they hear you speak.
Yeah, the best place is my YouTube channel, which we're on YouTube now. Perfect. When you're finished with this video, if you're not going to watch any more NINC videos, you can head over to the Quitcast, QUITCAST. And in particular, if you want to get the most out of this, I would watch the Business Phases Primer so that you know exactly where you're at and what I suggest to do in those spaces. And I have a handout primer also that we're going to use during the actual, if people haven't seen it, but you'll be way ahead if you go watch that on the Quitcast. And then probably Facebook is my most active social channel. But the YouTube channel is where all of the information heavy stuff is.
Okay, great. And those will be linked below as well. So those will be easy to find.
Yep, we'll have those right on there. Well, we're so glad that we got a chance to chat with you. I am more excited than ever, and I was pretty excited about this, so that's saying something. And if you are watching this and you've been on the fence about if you're a NINC member and you've been on the fence about coming this fall, or if you are a writer who was thinking about joining us for the masterclass, and you would like to come see Becca's session at the 37th Annual NINC Conference, please go to ninc.com, NINC.com, for more information and to purchase your ticket. Thanks again, Becca, and we will see you in September at the beach.